And welcome back to the show. This is episode 8 of the Pixels and Panels podcast. I'm Aaron with you once again, and I am joined by a very special guest today, Mr. Matthew Alimena.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude, my buddy from Tucson. We both moved to LA together. We're here now, years later. We our careers took some different trajectories, but we're still buddies, and we're still reading comics and playing video games.
That's right.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for being on. Just a little note. Apologies for missing last week. I was a little sick, a little under the weather. Lost my voice. Actually, it was weird because I had like fever symptoms for one day. And then, like, after that day, I felt good, but I just lost my voice. And I lost my voice for almost a solid week.
I know, man. That stuff sucks because that actually happened to me last time I got sick. Like, I was feeling crappy for a day.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day I was feeling awesome, but same thing. Like, I couldn't talk. I was, like, always coughing, even though, like, it was weird. It's like I felt like I always had to cough, even if I didn't. But it lasted for, like, a whole week.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And then like it usually happens like later at night, but then like my throat will get really dry and I'll just have this like cough that just won't go away. Yeah, so I'm finally over that. Hopefully my voice doesn't give out during this show, but we'll see what happens. But anyways, Matt, thanks for being on. Matt actually runs a boot camp out here. He does it's called Velocity Boot Camp. He's a personal trainer, so anyone in the LA area that wants to get in shape, get healthy, can hit Matt up.
Yeah, come on and take some classes. Get ripped.
Yeah, what's your website?
So the website is pretty easy, velocitybootcamp.com. And yeah, we just work out of a studio here in LA, more specifically the Silver Lake area. But yeah, we always have tight groups of people, everybody kicking butt. We have fun, and we watch people transform themselves.
Yeah, and you definitely get your butt kicked, as I well know. Just a couple hours ago, I got my butt kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess let's just start off with what we're sipping on. I'm not getting too crazy today. I'm just sipping on some seltzer, trying to stay away from the booze, and plus it's early afternoon as we're recording this, so
yeah,
the seltzer and black coffee.
Yeah, I'm usually waiting until the sun goes down before I start hitting bottles. So I myself am actually just drinking some water, man. It's kind of a warm day here, and I mean, yeah, it's always kind of warm in LA, I guess. But
well, it's been really nice. It's been like kind of cool, and I don't know, just like honestly, it's been kind of perfect weather. Like the type of weather you just throw in some shorts, maybe like a sweatshirt, and you're feeling like really comfortable. But I've got a feeling that it's into April now. We're probably going to start warming up, and probably going to be a little less I don't know, a little less perfect. But I don't know. Some people like the warmer weather. I'm like it. I like it kind of cool. But I'll tell you what, LA is better than Tucson was. So,
yeah,
I'll be thankful of that.
Tucson's weird though, because it's that kind of place where it could be like January and it could be 25 degrees at night, and then the next afternoon it's 80 degrees, and you're in your basketball shorts outside, playing football.
I know, that's the thing about the desert, is it can get really cold, especially at night. And it just has some kind of like extremes. I mean, it's not like you're going to get snow like that often.
No.
We have gotten snow in Tucson before.
But it's just kind of like one of those things where like if it gets cold enough to snow, but that's just because there aren't any like clouds to like.
Yeah, right. You just don't have enough precipitation.
20s all the time during the winter. It's just, like you said, it's just those swings during the day. It's like even if it does snow, it melts like 2 hours later.
Yeah, and of course the only reason it doesn't snow is we just don't have enough precipitation. Although the mountains around Tucson do get snow.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool because if you go in there in the winter, you can see the snow-capped mountains, which is nice. All right, well, hey, let's jump into this.
Cool.
We got a few things on the docket. We've actually been trying to do this for like several weeks now, but me getting sick kind of delayed things. Actually, the news item that I wanted to talk about hit last week. I think on Monday. It was early in the week. It was like Monday or Tuesday, and I saw it and I was like, I couldn't wait to talk about it. And then I got sick, so things got delayed. But basically, Matt, one of my all-time favorite comics that I kind of read religiously, which was canceled for a while, is coming back, and that is, of course, the Fantastic Four.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
so taking another crack at it, huh?
yeah. Well, okay. Let's talk about this a little bit because there's a lot of rumors and innuendo going around about why the Fantastic Four was quote unquote canceled, and the thing is, the Fantastic Four was selling better than it wasn't. It didn't have great numbers, but it was selling better than other comics that didn't get canceled.
Yeah.
And obviously, like sites like Bleeding Cool were really just like kind of hammering this nail that and they did have evidence to back it up. I'm not saying they're wrong, but they kind of like spearheaded this rumor mongering of why the Fantastic Four was canceled, and that was, of course, because Ike Perlmutter, who is the I guess CEO of Marvel, he's basically the shot caller. Um, he's still upset that Fox has the movie rights to Fantastic Four, and he kind of saw the Fantastic Four comic as like promotion for the Fox movies. And this is around the time too that the last Fantastic Four movie was coming out. So he decided, I guess, apparently, the word came down. I mean, it's not completely confirmed, but there's a lot of like hearsay and stuff that the word came down from him directly to cancel the comic. So we basically haven't got a Fantastic Four comic for several years now. Which
Sucks.
which kind of irks me because like it's one of those comics that I always buy, like that and Amazing Spider-Man. Like those are the two comics that I just religiously buy. It doesn't really even matter who it is. I just love the characters, and even if it's like not a great Fantastic Four run or whatever, like I can still read it and enjoy it. As long as they're not just going too crazy with the characters, I can usually enjoy it. Um, and yeah, so it was a little frustrating, even though like the Fantastic Four did go out in a cool way as their comic was being canceled because Jonathan Hickman was writing Secret Wars, and that was a series that I really enjoyed. And it really was kind of a it was kind of a secret Fantastic Four story. It was, ostensibly about the entire Marvel universe and a huge, event with all these people. But
And all that.
yeah, it really came down to being about Reed and Victor Von Doom.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, did you read that, Matt? I forget.
Yeah, I did, and I actually really liked it. It's one of those events that takes forever, and it every comic book has their own like part in it, and then there's like the actual main series, and so it was kind of tedious, but man, it was good. I mean, I was always surprised by the stuff that was going on, and it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. I thought. Well, I mean, there were like a bunch of spinoffs, but the thing about the way that event was constructed is you really did not have to read any of the spinoffs. Like you could just read the main story and be fine because the way it was. Remember, basically, like the world got broken up and it was called Battle World. And Victor Von Doom was basically god of the world, and he like remade the world. And so all the spinoffs were basically like these stories, like these kind of like standalone stories, like within the various parts of the world, and nothing like really affected the main series. So you could just read the main series, and I read like a few of the spinoffs, and they were like fun stories, but they totally stood alone.
Yeah.
But like the
I
main
like
series was,
But that's the thing is, I when I say tedious, I don't mean like, oh, you have to do it, but it's a process to do it. And I liked reading all the little spin-offs just because, some of them were entertaining, and it kind of just, I don't know, I felt like I got the whole complete story out of it.
yeah, you definitely got more context of like what was going on in Battle World as a whole, and you got some like really interesting stories because everything was like reality was shifted, everything was mixed up, and so you got some really like cool stories, and I definitely enjoyed. Let's see, Sam Humphries wrote that Captain America one that I enjoyed. Garth Ennis had that like kind of throwback like pulp story, um, which was really fun. I forget what it was called, but it was like this fighter pilot like crashes on this island, and he's kind of this douchebag, and like it's kind of him just like bumbling through this adventure. And God, the Old Man Logan story was cool.
Right.
Did you happen to read that one?
No, I actually read about that one. That was one of the ones I didn't read, but
Yeah.
I can't imagine it would have been bad. I like a lot of the Old Man Logan stuff.
Yeah, that was cool because that actually kind of spun off into an ongoing series afterwards.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But yeah, like Secret Wars. But the thing about Secret Wars, even though it involved like all of the Marvel Universe, basically, it was kind of at the heart. It was kind of a Fantastic Four Reed and Victor story.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, that event in general just felt really natural to me because it was being set up over a long time by Jonathan Hickman's Avengers run, which I really enjoyed, and I'm definitely going to go back and reread. So it's a nice bookend to his Avengers run, but also it takes his previous Fantastic Four run and weaves a bunch of elements from that into it. So it was just like it was really I don't know, it was just a great event. It was probably my favorite event since I don't know. I want to say like I love Civil War for what it was,
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of like
it was the first major like comic event, that actually lasted months. Civil War was that broke the mold.
Yeah, I mean, Civil War was kind of the huge thing that like really started that event cycle at Marvel, and it definitely kind of got me more like into reading more books at the time, and I was really enjoying it. But I would say Secret Wars is probably my favorite event since that. A lot of these other ones, like some of them have been good, but a lot of them have just been like, oh my god, we're just getting to the next event. It's not going to really like put a button on anything. It's just going to set up the next thing. And so we got into that whole cycle, and we.
What was that other one? The Annihilation.
Annihilation and Conquest and War Kings and all those.
Annihilation a lot though. I thought that was a cool. I liked the cosmic event.
Oh yeah, that was great. But that was kind of its own thing. Like that was a separate thing. It wasn't trying to like tie into every book and everything. Like that was an amazing
like cosmic stuff.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, man, we should do a podcast just like after we reread the cosmic line. I'd be down for that.
Well, that'd be fun. Because I remember certain moments where I was just like, no, I'd like go back and read it 2 more times.
Oh, that run was so freaking good. That Dan Abnett, Annie Lanning run of the cosmic stuff was so good. I got to go back and reread that. But anyways, so the Fantastic Four have been away for a long time, a couple years now, ever since. If anyone hasn't read Secret Wars, I don't want to say what happens, but they kind of go away. After Secret Wars in a cool way. So it's what's all right. So what's great about the announcement of it coming back is actually who I would want to write the next Fantastic Four run is writing it, which is Dan Slott. And I don't know if you remember, Matt, but Dan Slott has been writing Amazing Spider-Man for like close to a decade now.
Oh yeah, forever.
Do you remember? So you remember, like, you remember when Straczynski was writing Amazing Spider-Man?
Uh-huh.
He did the whole One More Day thing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And remember, after that whole event, they were called the Webheads. It was like a writers group took over Amazing Spider-Man, and it was a 3 times a book, a 3 times a month thing.
Yeah. That
This
was,
was
that was
like,
a crazy run because that was hard to keep up with Spider-Man at that point.
well, I had an easier time because it was all just Amazing Spider-Man. It wasn't like Web of Spider-Man or Friendly, or it wasn't Spectacular Spider-Man. Like, it was just Amazing Spider-Man. So I had an easier time because I just started just getting Amazing Spider-Man instead of all the other books, the side books, and it made it easier.
It was just tougher because you'd have to like go to the comic shop every week to get the new issue. And I mean, don't get me wrong, all of it was great. Like I really liked. I mean, that was some of the coolest stuff because I looked forward to like, oh, cool! I can't wait to see what Spider-Man, what's coming up next week. Instead of having to wait like the whole month. But I did like that though.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to the comic shop weekly at that time, so it was just, easy to just pick up the next issue, and it was like it was really well run. Stephen Wacker was the editor of Amazing Spider-Man at the time, and he was in charge of I think all of remember 52, the weekly book.
Yeah,
he was in charge of that. So he was like kind of used to running a book that shipped weekly. And so there was like 3 or 4 writers who were in charge of writing Spidey. And Dan Slott was one of them. So that's when he first started writing Spidey. And I think I want to say that was in like 2007, 2008, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So that's when he like started writing Spidey. And like, I'll be honest, he wasn't my favorite writer of the Webheads. Like, probably Joe Kelly's, his little mini arcs were probably my favorites. But Dan Slott had some good stuff. And once the book like became more of a monthly book, and Dan Slott took over as the solo writer, that's when like he really started to, I feel like, come into his own as a Spider-Man writer.
Awesome.
And I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, especially people that like kind of like follow him in real life. I guess he's like super political on Twitter and stuff, and he kind of turns some people off. But I don't know. I just read his Amazing Spider-Man comics, and they're funny. They've got a lot of heart, and I've just really enjoyed them for the last, I guess it's been about 10 years now. And I've followed it the whole time, and there's been some big events in Peter's life, and I've talked about it on some previous episodes, but I've enjoyed the overall run and where it's gone. And now that he's about to end it, just hearing that he's taken over Fantastic Four is cool, because I hope he's like going to settle in for a nice long run. Because the thing about Dan Slott and Fantastic Four is, first of all, you can tell he really likes the characters, and he takes like a lot of opportunities in Spider-Man. He took a lot of opportunities to write the Fantastic Four in, which it's kind of a gimme because Spider-Man has such a history with the Fantastic Four.
Right, kind of feeding them in there and making their little cameos and stuff.
Yeah, and just like whenever he wrote them, I just felt like he had a really good handle on the characters, and I always just thought like, man, it'd be great. Like, hopefully Dan Slott gets to write these in the actual Fantastic Four comic eventually. So here we are. He's doing it. He's actually going to be teamed up with an artist called Sarah Pacelli. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's a fantastic artist. I think she's Italian. She's worked with Bendis on a lot of stuff. I think she was on Guardians of the Galaxy for a while, and I think the Miles Morales Spider-Man book. She's if you check out her art, she's an amazing artist.
Yeah, well, definitely gonna have to now.
Yeah, I hope she'll be on the book for at least a little while, because Marvel has a habit of just putting a artist on like the first arc of a book, like a bigger name artist,
Oh yeah.
kind of like help sell the book, and then put on whoever after that. But hopefully she'll be on for a little bit.
I'm actually glad they're bringing it back, because there's one thing about Fantastic Four is, as a comic, I thought their stories were awesome. I thought there were certain elements to them that like you could only have with the Fantastic Four, which made that comic unique, but probably also why they never really worked as movies.
Yeah, yeah, I always felt like Fantastic Four might work better as maybe a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Although, or if Marvel had the rights to Fantastic Four, I would love to see them kind of woven through the different movies. Kind of like Doctor Strange was in Thor Ragnarok. He kind of just showed up for a scene.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was probably my favorite part of that movie, because it just felt like he showed up. He ran into Thor. They had a scene, and they went to the sanatorium in New York, and it just felt like oh my god, this is like Marvel Comics on screen. This is so like it made me so happy to just like see a character pop up in another movie just for like a cameo, basically. But it just it just made it feel good. But like, I would love to see the Fantastic Four in kind of that role, like them just pop up in other movies, and then and then have a movie, like a big movie, because obviously like there's some huge stories you can tell with Fantastic Four, and there's so many great characters in that pantheon that you could bring in. So I mean, obviously, if you're going to do like Galactus or Doctor Doom, like you kind of need you need that to be kind of a bigger movie. But
yeah,
you could also have like, I just the best thing about the four is just them interacting as a family, and you could have them doing that in like other movies, and I mean, they're probably not going to do it as a TV show, but I felt like it would kind of work well as a TV show.
I could see it work as like like a Netflix 10-episode series type thing, or season. It's something like that. You definitely have to give them their time. It's because you're right. They have more of a family dynamic instead of like say Avengers team dynamic.
Yeah. And the like I said, the my favorite thing about them as a team is their quieter moments, and just their interactions. And the thing is, like with the Fantastic Four on screen, it would be honestly it would be hard to do it as a TV show, because there would probably be a lot of CGI.
Yeah,
because you have to you have to have like some of the bigger things plot wise in a Fantastic Four story that's going to require a lot of budget. So I would love to see it as a TV show. If the budget was big enough, like I'm sure it would work the best as a TV show. But I could definitely see them taking another crack at the movies. I don't know what they're going to do after Infinity War, but I've got a feeling it's going to be some sort of reset. If Fox does go through with this sale to Disney, that might be a good time to bring in the Fantastic Four. And I don't know, you can maybe explain it as they like went to another dimension and they've just been gone for a long time and they just come back.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of their whole thing, though, is like, there's so much like science wrapped around the Fantastic Four that you could totally do something like that and be like, well, yeah, because that's kind of what they were all about, was like astrophysics and crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, and space travel and interdimensional travel and all that stuff. Yeah, so I would love, like, oh man, ideally, if I had my druthers, I would have wanted to have the Fantastic Four at the start of the Marvel Cinematic Universe
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just old school like that. I love that the Fantastic Four kind of kickstarted Marvel Comics in the '60s, and I'd love to see. I just feel like they're kind of the bedrock of the Marvel universe. So I would have rather seen them at the inception of this universe, but if they kind of come in like in the second wave of whatever the reboot of the cinematic universe is, I'll have to settle for that.
Yeah.
You know it's coming. I mean, like these movies are making too much money to not do something. But the thing is, like, how long are we going to have Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark? How long are we going to have Chris Evans as Captain America?
Avengers 4, man, and they're gonna have to reset. Like, so we have Infinity War coming out, and then I think in like 2 years we'll have like the last, Avengers movie that they have, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's gonna be something called like Avengers Disassembled or something like that, where it just kind of breaks it all apart.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see them like bringing in some of these newer characters that Marvel's been introducing as
Yeah,
like replacements.
they kind of do that with like the TV shows, though. Like they bring in these new young characters that aren't any of the originals.
Well, they haven't. I mean, I'm talking about like replacing like Iron Man, like because
Oh, right,
I
like
don't know how much you've been following it lately, but like there's been basically like replacements for a lot of the heroes in lately. Although they're kind of bringing the original heroes back now.
Yeah, but like the Thor replacement and
Yeah, like Jane Foster became Thor for a while.
right.
This character named Riri Williams took over for Iron Man, and like Amadeus Cho. Oh, you'll love this.
Oh, he was the Hulk.
Amadeus Cho became the Hulk. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Yeah. You know what? I've been like so behind on that series. We need to read that and like do a podcast on that because we really love that Hulk run by Greg Pak.
Yeah.
I think he's about to end it, so we should do like a retrospective on that series sometime.
We should, man. That'd be cool. I like Amadeus Cho as like the new Hulk. I know that it's kind of outside the whole, like the rage and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
he was always a cool character, man. He just needs to roll with the right crowd, and I felt like he was doing that, say, with the Hercules series. I'm like, man, that's when Amadeus Cho was like, I'm like, I really like this dude.
Yeah. No, that was such a great series. I just love that Greg Pak run and Fred Van Lente with Incredible Hulk. That was such a good series. Oh man. I gotta reread that. Gotta attack those long boxes.
Yeah, you and me both, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's about enough on that announcement. We got some good comics talk in. Let's move on to some video games, what we've been playing. Now, let me just set this up. I have been prodding Matt to play some video games and get back in, turn his PS4 back on because he's kind of been out of it for a while.
I have. I had to dust it off.
Yeah. There is a game that I know Matt would enjoy the hell out of because it's just completely his type of game, like through and through. And it was on sale a few weeks ago. And this is a game we've talked about a decent amount already on the show, but I got Matt to buy For Honor on PS4. A great melee combat, very unique game. And I guess just what do you think jumping back into it? Like I know you played the beta like forever ago, Matt.
Yeah.
So they released that like a free beta, and we played that, and then you ended up not getting the game when it came out. Now it's like 3 seasons in, and what do you think of the game now?
You know what? I'm not too far into it right now, but I really like it, man. I mean, it's good gameplay. It's easy, I love just the style of fighting in it. You have to defend yourself as well as attack. They have like a stamina bar. And the thing is, no game that you play or no mode is exactly like the same as the last time you played it.
Yeah, but it's such a unique fighting system. Like this is a game that I have been like wanting forever because I love melee combat. Like I love really intricate like melee combat systems.
Yeah, and like in old games, it would be like attack and block, and
Yeah,
that's
it would just yeah, exactly. And some games not even block, it's just attack, mash the attack button. But this game makes you think because you basically have three axes to think about. You have to think about like overhead and left and right. And you have to think about attacking from the left and right and blocking from the left and right and the top. And like so you have to read your opponent, you have to see what they're doing, and if they're attacking you from the left, you have to block on the left and try to counter by like attacking in an area where they're not blocking.
yeah, or or try to dodge, which I mean, that is such a useful thing to do in that game, but it's actually kind of hard to do because we're all kind of pre-programmed to either block or attack,
Yeah.
until this game came out. So you never think of like, oh, dodge around the swing. You would always think that just block it and then attack. But the
Yeah.
problem with that is like they could simply do the same thing. So you actually have to be pretty creative in your style of fighting in order to actually like beat somebody that knows how to play the game.
Right. And just having that stamina bar is really just adds a whole just crazy layer of strategy to it because if you want to dodge out of the way, you can do that, but you're going to use up a big chunk of your stamina if you do that. So if you try to like dodge and maybe like try to run away because you're getting like 2-on-1 or something, you'll run out of stamina. Then you'll start running slower, and they'll be able to catch up to you.
Yeah,
So
I've uh, I've been at the back end of that more
oh
than
yeah,
enough times.
you've literally been at the back end of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's a great game because there's so much like strategy to it because it's you can play it 4-on-4. There's a lot of different modes to do it. Actually, there was a new mode they released recently called Tribute, which is kind of a capture the flag mode.
yeah.
Um, and I thought that was really fun. What did you think of that mode?
I liked it a lot, and actually, I've been playing it the last couple days just to kind of get a better feel for it. And I'll tell you what, man, it makes it really. It's great for getting practice on like doing executions
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah,
that's what I was doing, man. Is like my team would gather up the flags and we would defend them, and then if I had like an order of the day that was like that get this many executions in a single match or something, it I mean, you just have people running at you. That's how you get your practice in. But
yeah,
I like the whole idea of it. It's really cool, and the fact that you actually have to kind of like maintain the capture of those flags. You can't just simply stick them in and then you're good to go. It's like you have to keep them there.
right. And in that mode, there's basically three trophies that basically each side has three altars. They're called, and there's three trophies scattered throughout the map when it starts. And the objective is for your team to grab as many trophies as they can and put them in each altar. So you can have three, like you can have up to three altars filled with trophies. And of course, the other team is trying to grab the trophies too. So ideally, like strategy wise, we were playing the other day, and I was trying to like just get the strategy of just grab two trophies and keep it 2-on-1, so we can like
And just
keep the balance of power in our way and not have to worry about all three trophies. And we're doing okay with that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was my first time playing Tribute, so I felt, and we won that one, so I felt like we did fine, And now
Yeah.
that I actually have a better idea of how to play that mode and strategize with it, I mean, I think we'd kick some butt.
Yeah. And you're also playing the story mode, right?
Yeah, that I am. So right now in the story mode, I'm actually in the Vikings conquest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Vikings are really fun.
Yeah, because you jump around to all the characters in story mode, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you'll use like your main character. So say Vanguard or something. You'll use like the main guy who you generally start with, and then he's at the top of the heroes chart, and then you might for a single mission use like an assassin or something like that, and then but yeah. So it kind of just goes through that. I think there's like 6 missions per per faction.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, there's 3 factions in the game. It's the Knights, the Vikings, and the, I guess, Samurai.
yeah.
Yeah. And the cool thing is about this game is they've released a lot of new heroes. And we were talking about a few weeks ago about how it's one of those games that's kind of a game as service now, where you just get the base game and you basically have access to like everything, like all the modes and stuff, and you can play it with everyone. But if you want to get like a new hero, you either have to earn currency in game to buy it or spend real money to buy it. And
Use the season pass.
yeah, you can buy the season pass and get all the characters, or you could just buy a hero separately. And I like that model because it gives everyone the ability to play with everyone else.
Yeah, you definitely don't have like the season pass. You'd have to go through the time and actually earn the, say, like the gladiator or something like that. But
yeah.
I mean, the cool thing is though, it's not exclusively to season pass holders. Like you can do that. You can salvage up, the coin or whatever, and you could still get whatever character that's available.
Yeah, you can buy whatever character you want. And there's some cool characters. There was you mentioned the Gladiator. There's that one. There's the Highlander, which is totally a William Wallace type character. I forget what faction he's for. I think he's with the Vikings actually. And then you have a couple like there's like a ninja character. And what was the other one that the Centurion is pretty cool too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's some really cool characters in the game. Like I said, it's a totally just unique it's just a totally unique fighting experience. Like there's nothing else like this game out there on the market. And I love that Ubisoft is supporting it with they just added dedicated servers. They keep adding new modes. We're into like season 3 of the meta game, which is like it's basically like you pledge yourself to a faction and you deploy resources after your matches to whatever like kind of meta I don't know, there's like meta objectives for you to do like overall, and you kind of just pool your resources with all the other players that are in your faction. So one faction will win over the course of like a long season. So,
I was actually looking at that. That's pretty cool, man. Like I didn't even know that was a thing until actually like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of going through like all the different like details of the game, and like going through all the different menus, and I was like, oh, like that's pretty kick ass. Like,
yeah,
it's like smart on Ubisoft's side too, because that's going to keep those people playing the game, and
yeah,
the more people are playing, the more people that are buying, and
yeah. Well, I mean, I think people who it does keep people interested. It gives kind of a overall objective
incentive just to hang in there.
Yeah, to keep playing. I mean, I haven't really bothered with like the meta game so much, just because like I just kind of jump on and play with whoever, and I also suck at the game, so I usually just jump on with like you or someone else and just play against bots, which is really fun. But
cool too is the bots are actually a lot of the times just as good or even better than actual players.
Yeah, the bots can be really good. The thing is, I've jumped into matches against real players, and at this point of the game, I mean, like, there's some really good players out there.
Yeah,
and, yeah, it is just hard to go toe to toe with with just a random player you meet online now. So,
yeah, I actually got into like a match with a player the other day, and they wasted me in like less than 10 seconds, and I thought that I was like being defensive, but somehow they just mowed me over and just ran by me like I was trash, man. It was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, the thing is like that, there is a move list, and there's like some pretty gnarly unblockables that everyone has. So, if you spend a lot of time with the game and get really good at like using those unblockable moves, then you can just kind of tear through like a player who's just trying to like play defensive and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they did. I thought I was, being smart, and nope.
Yeah, that's what they do. So, um, yeah, so it's a fun game. I guess I've been playing like some various other games, but nothing that I'll talk about this week. I thought we'd just talk about some For Honor since we've been having fun with that one, and I've got Matt to play a little bit more, so that's a win in my book.
Actually, I had to like delete old games just to fit it on my PlayStation because I only had like 250 gig drive on mine. So
Really? Wait. You should have it should be like a 500 gig. You just have the original drive, right?
yeah, is it 500? Might be.
It might. Well, it is, but I think like the operating system, takes up so much space, so you probably think like it's a smaller drive.
It feels like it, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
there's some games that I just won't like take off. Like for example, like Rocket League is.
oh yeah, you got to keep
that
that
a
on.
couple years ago, man, and I had so much fun with that one. I'm like, yeah, that's
That's a
definitely
great game.
back to. Yeah.
That and GTA never take off your system.
Oh, GTA. I mean, dude, I just made more room on the console for the GTA today.
That's right. I've been getting back into that game a little bit because there's the Doomsday Heist, which I really want to try. There's a lot of cool stuff involved with that. With that new piece of content, so it's been a while since I played GTA, but yeah, I jumped in and there was a decent sized update associated with that. So I wanted to make sure you were updated because I need to make some money and I need to buy what's called a facility, and that allows you to actually do the Doomsday Heist content. So yeah, I need to earn some shekels.
Wow, yeah, that's the thing about that game too, man. It's just that they they just have all these awesome expansions, and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, like this game is however many years old, and it's still not getting old. Like people are still playing it religiously.
I think it came out in 2013 on PS3 and 360, and it's only just it's crazy because when it launched, online was so like bare bones, and it was fun to just jump on and like just go around the world with your friends. But they have added so much content to that game; it's crazy. And I mean, it is a huge moneymaker too for Take Two because like they've just been doing constant updates. And the great thing is, again, it's this model of we're going to release content. Everyone can still play together. We're not walling off anyone. They add these like adversary modes and races and different stuff that everyone can do. And then, they put in like they put in new like cars and weapons and outfits and everything. And if you want to buy those, you have to make money either in game, or if you want to spend real money to get in-game currency, you can do that too. So
yeah. No, it's I feel like this is the way that like gaming is going nowadays. So like everybody, like pretty soon you won't need to buy a video game. You just start buying things in the video game. It's because they're already doing that with the like the phone, the phone apps, the games there, like Mario and stuff like that. It's just like, oh, well, if you want to move on, pay us, $3 and you get to go this far to this level world or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's all about kind of like in-game and in-app buys now.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, with console games, you still have the upfront cost of actually buying the game.
Right.
I feel like a lot of these have been designed to have a really long tail, obviously, which I like because if I really like the gameplay of a game, and I'm having fun playing it with like my friends and stuff, I would rather just them support the base game and not have like a sequel that everyone has to buy. I like them being able to monetize it in different ways where we can just keep playing the same game. And sometimes it's not good. and people will, people will jump off because it gets stale or whatever. But if you can keep putting out content that feels fresh and gives people a reason to come back to the game, I think you can. That's a good model if you can do that.
And see, and that's what I like. I gotta say, like, one of the games that I love, but I was disappointed in for not doing it at least the way I thought was correctly done, was like Destiny.
Yeah.
Where they're just all like, every time they come out with like a new expansion, you'd pay like $30-$40 for the expansion, and it wasn't even like, you felt like you got cheated by the end of it. You're like, oh, I beat that in a day, and like that's it. Or 2.5, 3 years after they come out the first one, they're like, all right, Destiny 2, this one, and the other one is now obsolete.
Yeah, I wish there was a little more planning on Bungie's. There's the whole thing when Destiny 1 launched of them, it being really like kind of short on content, and people really still glommed onto that game really hard, and that game had such a community in the first game, and I had no problem with the way they decided to do it. They they added big pieces of content that you had to buy. You had to pay like $20 for or $40 for. But it was kind of like the next chapter of the game that you're playing and loving. It's the next chapter of the game you're playing all the time. We put so many hours into that game. So we're still playing it 6 months after the game came out. So it's like, well, we put so much time in this game. Like, okay, I'll give you $20 for the next handful of stuff to do.
Right, because at that point you need the content, the new content, to keep it from getting stale. Because you still had like your Crucible matches and stuff, which was always fun. No match is the same as the last, but as far as doing like your daily missions and like the story modes and stuff like that, it got pretty vanilla, man. It was old.
Yeah, and the gameplay was so good in Destiny 1 that I don't know. We were definitely in the mode of we just kept playing it because that was like the game we played, and everyone just jumped on and did like the dailies and did the strike playlist or whatever, and we always had fun. And the new content drops were always like a nice like boost to like, oh, this is gonna this is gonna get me like even more interested in playing the game, which is why I really wish, especially looking at the game today, looking at Destiny 2 today, I just really wish they would have just kept on just adding on to Destiny 1 and just had Destiny be the platform.
Oh, for sure.
Keep adding expansions. And I bet you Bungie's looking at where they're at now and thinking the same thing. Because, Destiny 2, first of all, it was a big boost. Like, a lot of people bought it. So I know they made like a good amount of money on it. But, where they're at now and just how they've lost players has been pretty crushing to see. I'm kind of over the game now, which is, if you would have asked me like 2 years ago, it'd be like, hell no. Like, I was like playing the hell out of Taken King and Rise of Iron,
I was playing that game like every day for like a year, man. Like, I'd be like, oh, I got like 30 free minutes. Cool. I'm gonna go play, and hopefully I don't get kicked off the server or something. But
yeah, no, it's too bad, but it is what it is. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what that saga, how that saga goes forward. But all right. Well, enough about video games. Let's move on to the comics section. We both read some books for this week.
Yes.
Actually, speaking of Civil War, this is a couple series, basically. Couple number ones by the writer of Civil War, Mr. Mark Miller. Now, I think issue 2 is out for some of these series, but we both read issue 1 of the new Kick-Ass series and the new Hit Girl series. So, yeah. first of all, let me ask you, Matt. Have you been a fan and a reader of Kick-Ass in the past?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've always loved Kick-Ass. I mean, I remember us reading it before there was ever the announcement that they were going to make a movie. And remember that was sold like before the first issue even really came out, I think, to be a movie.
Yeah, I think they did. I think Matthew Vaughn was like developing the movie before the first issue even came out. But yeah, I was loving I was kind of loving that time in comics because yeah, Mark Miller did like split off and stop writing Marvel comics, and it was kind of like this. I was definitely like a big fan of his, so I was just following him to whatever he was doing, and yeah, Kick-Ass was like like a fun, over the top, crazy comic. It was a crazy Mark Miller comic, and
But it's like it was a great concept. I mean, it is a great concept, and it like a lot of the stuff that they use in there, you're all like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, why hasn't anybody ever really been crazy enough to really try something like that? Considering there are so many fanboys out there, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's great. Like, yeah, the world he created is great, and I've always been of the opinion that I've enjoyed the first movie more than I did the actual comic, because the movie was just so well done.
I do too, and I think a big part of that, for me at least, was the fact that in the movie they actually made Big Daddy a badass, as where in the
Yeah,
comic he was kind of just like a tool that was he was a poser, and then
yeah,
at the end he went out like just kind of like a pathetic way.
yeah. And I don't know. I really I mean, I've enjoyed like all the Kick-Ass series, and the Hit Girl series in there too. Now I let you borrow all the trades. Did you reread those?
Yes, I did.
Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, they were released so in anticipation of the new series coming out. There's two series. But in anticipation of that, they released kind of a collection of trades called the Dave. How do you say his last name? Lankowski?
Uh, Something Lewinsky or
Yeah, something like that.
oh,
Anyway, what is it?
Lazuski.
Lazuski. Okay, so the Dave Lazuski years, and then they have like trades 1, 2, 3, and 4, and one of those trades is the Hit Girl mini series that came out. And I think that kind of set up Kick-Ass 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so yeah, I got those, and let Matt borrow those to brush up on where the series is at.
I brushed it fast. I had them all read in like 3 days.
Yeah, they are fast reads. They're I mean, you know what? They're like, it's not like they're the most highbrow comics ever made, but I don't know. I think they're fun, and obviously they're over the top, and I can always enjoy reading Kick-Ass.
Yeah, it's that's the thing too. It's like in all these trades. I mean, the story was changing with like the time. So it's what I liked was like how it started off with him being like the original hero
Mm-hmm.
to the point where he kind of like he grows out of it.
Yeah,
It lets the next generation take over. Really, I mean, with Hit Girl kind of leading the way.
yeah. So having said that, let's jump into these number ones. And speaking of Hit Girl, let's talk about that. So we're still in the shoot. We're still following the exploits of Mindy, who's Big Daddy's daughter. Everyone knows Hit Girl.
Oh yeah,
This is still the same one.
badass.
She's still a crazy little girl, little psycho girl. So in this Hit Girl series, so I think it's going to be 4 issues, and so I gotta say, like the basic plot is she goes down to South America, and she's trying to recruit a new like partner, because you open the book, and she's trying to fight crime with like a new Kick-Ass, and it's just some dude that like she met at school who's kind of a fanboy.
He
And
actually really wanna.
And I love it because like she takes him out. They're trying to fight crime. She's like telling him what to do. There's like these thugs in an alley. She's like telling the guy what to do, and he's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to be kick ass. Like I'm kind of more into fantasy, like Lord of the Rings now and Harry Potter instead of superheroes.
He's just like,
Yeah, so she's like kind of frustrated with trying to find a partner, and she ends up going to South America where there's this like assassin, this cartel like hitman basically.
he just muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's trying to recruit him as her partner because she needs like somebody serious, and um, so she kind of like she kind of blackmails him into well she rescues him from the police, and then she tries to blackmail him into joining her.
Yeah.
And there's someone that's helping her, this female Hispanic character who I don't know much about yet, but hopefully there's some more behind that character because I don't know. Honestly,
Honestly, it was
go ahead.
for me.
What's that?
You talking about the new Hitman or the new? The new what Kick-Ass?
No. In the Hit Girl miniseries, still in issue number 1, there's that Hispanic female who's like behind the computer, who's kind of like feeding her information.
Yeah, I'd like to know what her story is.
Yeah, so I know. I want to know what the mystery is behind that, or if there is a mystery. Kind of want to see what's going on with that. The thing is about this as an issue, it's kind of it's definitely a setup issue, and it's a little worrisome just that I know there's only 4 issues of this comic. I think it's going to be a pretty like just standard just kind of crazy like romp. I don't think there's going to be a super lot of depth to it, which it's fine. I mean, this is a Hit Girl comic, so
they're just testing the waters and see how it does. Like, is it going to do well enough to kind of, like we could come back to it in the future, or like is this going to be Mindy's like one and done story?
Yeah, and well, we'll see, but I think it's going to be just like you said, just kind of dipping the toes back in the water of like, let's have another Hit Girl adventure. I'm kind of curious if it's going to cross over with the Kick-Ass proper book. And speaking of that, let's talk about that book because that was the sister issue to Hit Girl. The new Kick-Ass is a totally different character. I guess we're over and done with Dave.
Yeah,
he's out of the picture. He's not even really mentioned.
He's got a girlfriend now.
Yeah, I know. He's kind of over it. He's done. But see, where Hit Girl didn't have a lot of depth to me, like as far as like the characters and how the story was presented, this comic definitely had more depth. I'm not going to say it was the deepest comic I ever read, but it definitely had some character work that I was way more into from a standpoint of like I'm interested in these characters. I want to see where they're going to go.
Yeah. And now you have a Kick-Ass that can actually kick ass. Like,
well, yeah. Let's set up this book a little bit. So, the basic premise of this book is the new Kick-Ass is a character who is a female. She's a former Marine. She was it Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Okay, she was in Afghanistan. She comes home. She's basically like a badass special forces soldier. And you see that in the first part of the issue, like her rescuing one of her comrades in arms. Anyway, so she comes back from the war. She's reunited with her family. It turns out her husband's kind of a D-bag.
Yeah, kind of just
she's got it's a daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a daughter. And so her husband kind of runs off because, like I said, he's a D-bag. And so basically, I'm sorry, what's her name? It's Patience, right?
Yeah, Patience.
Okay. So Patience is basically like her husband leaves her. She's kind of in desperate need of money. She lives in the ghetto. She's trying to provide for her daughter, and she decides like, all right, well, I need money. Um, I could wait tables, but that's going to bring me in next to nothing. Maybe I'll just rob the local crime boss. And she decides to dress up as Kick-Ass so she's not recognized, and so it's basically like people are thrown off the scent, and they won't think it's like, they'll think it's some like fanboy who's trying to be Kick-Ass.
That's somebody that actually like lives in the neighborhood.
Yeah. So so Patience dresses up as Kick-Ass, tries to rob this guy. She's almost immediately like unmasked, so they know who she is. And but it's kind of a cool part where like she's seen by the guards, she's taken inside, and she goes to work on these guys, and like before telling them, well, how do you think I got past your security? Like, you guys just brought me in. And then she just proceeds to F all of them up.
Yeah, big time. She no, she's definitely like a badass, and I really like her character in that sense because like with her, she's like, I do this because I got something to lose. Like her husband ran off with some like floozy to LA because he's a quote unquote artist that wasn't making
right.
And he left her with like a mountain of debt.
Right.
And so she's just like, all right, well, I could work for, like you said, like work forever being a waitress, and it's sucking. She can't even, she's planning on going back to school on the GI Bill. Can't do that now.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's just like, fuck it. I'm going to take the money from the people that, shouldn't have it anyways.
Yeah. Who are basically like hurting my neighborhood.
Right. And she, she goes in, she does work, but like you said, like it's not long before they just like, all right, we got your mask.
So the whole point of her like going in disguised is immediately taken away. And the end of the issue is basically like her in a place where, the people she's robbed know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And that just sets up like the rest of the series potentially. So I don't know, as a setup issue, because this is another setup issue. Like, let's be honest, it's a cool issue, and I definitely had more fun with it than Hit Girl. But this is another setup issue, and I kind of just felt like I definitely felt like as going forward, I'm definitely more interested in this character than I am like what's happening with Mindy right now.
There's just more. There's more at stake for her. Like Mindy is just all like, I'm Batman and I need a Robin type thing, and her thing is more kind of like just she's a little sociopath.
Yeah.
This woman, she's like in a situation where like we don't really know what's going to happen in the next issue, because it's like if these people know who she is now, like, is she just going to off them all? Like, and here's the thing, like at this point, she's kind of like a robber herself. She's now robbing, and but she's supposed to be the stand-up person. So it's just like, well, can she protect her identity? And if so, like, what is she going to have to do it? So I think that there's definitely a lot more depth to her story. What's going to be coming up as where Mindy, Hit Girl is just going to be all like, all right, well, let's kill people till our hearts are content.
Yeah. So yeah, Mindy's definitely going to be that kind of mindless action movie, and Patience's story in Kick-Ass, I think, is going to have a lot more stakes. As a reader, I'm definitely more invested because of the family angle. Like, and there's so many places the story could potentially go. I mean, who knows? Like, the police could get involved and like start tracking her down. I mean, obviously this criminal ring is going to be after her, and she lives in the neighborhood, and she's like robbing from this guy in the neighborhood. So like, who knows how that's going to like impact where she's living and her family and all that stuff. So the stakes are definitely higher in Kick-Ass.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? And like, do you know if this one's going to be a mini series or?
No, this is ongoing. So this could go. I don't know how long this. I
It
mean,
might give us like one of those nostalgic moments where like word gets out that like somewhere else Kick-Ass is, you know, starting some stuff up and making a mess, and then our old boy Dave, you know,
yeah,
it's word of that. Maybe he makes like an appearance or something. I mean, I like where they're going in Kick-Ass, and I'm glad that it's still a good comic, because I have to be honest, when I first like opened this, I'm like, all right, it's kind of like a reboot, and I actually, the first one left such an impression on
hmm
me, and it's kind of like a sequel to a movie. It's like 99% of the time the sequel is a lot worse than the original. But
yeah.
I like the way they started with this one. I think it's got a lot of potential, and I'm just going to be keeping my fingers crossed each and every month.
Yep. And yeah, since this is Mark Miller, and he usually tends to write arcs and just contain stories. I could see this maybe going like 8 issues or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely into where this is going. I'm really glad they rebooted it with a different character, because I did kind of feel like Dave's story was kind of played out. You
You
know,
know,
I,
they ended Dave's story at the perfect place. Like, he's a grown up now. He has a real job as a cop. You know,
Mhm.
and these guys go like he's moved on from the fanboy mentality,
Right.
and so his story it couldn't really go any further without just kind of dragging the fans like me and you along for an arc that we would probably really be upset about reading.
Yeah.
Where now they're starting it fresh with somebody who is kind of like the polar opposite of him, and
Yeah.
this person's not being the hero because they want to be. Or even the fact that they need to be. Like right now, the hero outfit is simply a disguise to throw them off, like a Halloween outfit.
Yeah.
And so, but she's probably going to adopt the alias of Kick-Ass.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play that out. And yeah, it's just cool because it's a total just flip on the head. I mean, it's, Patience is like the farthest away from, the fanboy that the teenage fanboy that Dave was. She's a grown adult woman who is very capable, and has like experience and skills that make her like a good superhero.
It just brings Kick-Ass. It takes Kick-Ass to like an entirely new element.
Yeah, it just kind of flipped the whole concept on its head, and I'm really glad Miller decided to do that. And yeah, I'm definitely interested in where Kick-Ass is going to go. I'm still going to read Hit Girl because that's a fun comic, and it would be cool if they crossed over a little bit. Maybe have Hit Girl show up in Kick-Ass. Like, I could see that happening. I mean,
And what's funny is that like if I could see that happening, and Hit Girl would totally be like, "Oh, you're the kind of kick-ass like sidekick I should have always had."
yeah. And Patience was probably going to be like, you're going to be my sidekick.
Patient's gonna be like, "You're a psycho little girl. You should get away from me right now."
That's true. She'd probably rather say that, but yeah. Yeah, it'd be funny if like the Hit Girl miniseries ended after 4 issues, and like she's basically like trying this like crazy cartel dude out as a sidekick, and he doesn't work out. I'm sure hijinks ensue. All the shit hits the fan, and at the end of it, he's either dead or something, and she's like, "Oh man, who am I gonna have as my sidekick now?" And then maybe she'll hear about like the new Kick-Ass operating, and maybe go investigate that.
And that's my thing too. Like about the Hit Girl comic was, I was just like, all right, so she just recruited this dude who's like basically everything that she's vowed to fight against, but because he's so good at killing, like she is, like she's gonna team up with him for this one job. Like I see Mindy being crazy enough to be like, all right, job's over, and then she offs this guy too.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can totally see that. That's a total Hit Girl move. All right, cool. Well, that was Hit Girl #1 and Kick-Ass #1. Yeah, we'll probably be talking. I don't know. We'll probably be talking about this in the future, but I thought they were pretty good launching point issues, and I'm intrigued to see where where these are going. I will be there for the ride. So, Matt, thanks for being on, man.
Dude, thanks for having me on. I had a blast. It's good to talk comics. It's good just to talk comics every once in a while, you know.
I know, man. It's been a while, huh?
Yeah, it's been too long.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I haven't completely lost my voice. I feel it slipping a little bit, but it's still kind of with me. So I feel like it's probably a good time to end it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on. Matt, tell everyone where they can find you on the interwebs.
So, if you're looking for me online, if you have Instagram, I have a Instagram. It's Matt, or it's a fit_Mattivation. That's MATT Evation. So you can find me there for just motivational stuff to help you reach your goals. And if you guys are ever in LA, you want to get in a great workout, come to Velocity Boot Camp. We'd love to have you. And yeah, and then if you come in, just mention Aaron. There's a good chance that he might be there.
True. Yes. All right. Well, thanks to everyone for listening. If you want more, you can find it at pixelsandpanelspodcast.com. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. All the links are at the website. So check us out at pixelsandpanelspodcast.com. And we will see you next time.
Peace.